Hi there, I'm Linda K. Gifford, CSA Survivor, and I've got one message for you. There you go. That's what you need to tell everyone else who has some kind of agenda for you, because now we're going to make your agenda all about you. And that means right down to your orgasms. I want everything about you to be about you and your happiness. And I'm going to start this by saying the most selfless thing you can do is insist on honest, selfish happiness. Because if you're not truly happy across the board in your life, then whatever you're not happy in, you're pretending to be somebody else, or else you're just bitching your whole way through, and that's not a lot of fun either. But met those people too. Like I always talk about every single live stream, there are three kinds of people. There's the people that are always going to be upset about what happened. I'm always going to be upset about what happened to me. Don't get me wrong. You have the right to always be upset. We are CSA survivors, and that is obviously not plan A, not the best case scenario. That being said, it is what it is. So I say, get over it. And that sounds so flippant considering on and off therapy 20 years ago for quite a while, then a huge gap, and then I just went back a couple of years ago when I started writing my book, which I wasn't really doing writing a book. I was just writing my way out of a mental confusing point after I had a blackout, and I saw the news that I had this blackout, and I beat up my partner, and then I had him leave. And then if you want to know more about that, it's all detailed out in previous live streams. But for the sake of moving on, I learned that there are 6 things that I do, and this isn't like you graduate from one and then you learn the next one, and then you graduate from that, you learn the next one. As I have often said and will always say, survivors have no graduation day, and that's okay. Don't be depressed. That's okay. It's okay not to have a graduation day, because it is what it is. Again, you're going to learn to be happy every day, and part of being happy is being an honest partner to who you're with. And survivors like us always, at least until we become aware, and I'm coming from a point of married and divorced 3 times. I am preaching to the choir. Preaching to the fucked up choir. Yeah. Someone said, you're the blind leading the blind, Linda. And I'm like, yeah, but who better, right? Who better than the blind leading the blind? Because I've been there. And I learned how to do that. And I actually have a business I love, feelgoodfairtrade.com. Please buy from us. We support women artisans all over the world, and we're 5 years old in May. And 5 years online. This past week, it was paused for the first time in that entire time, because I just rolled it out last night. So go there and look at it. Do feelgoodfairtrade.com. Buy stuff. We ship in 3 to 5 days. We actually buy from women, family, and community artisans. And I focus on promoting the products from women who are given alternatives to sex work in Indonesia, to women owners, women African owners who own their own businesses. We've got groups, lots of men and women groups that work in the Central America and South Americas, et cetera, et cetera. Don't want to get too into that. You can read all about that at feelgoodfairtrade.com. And sweetsurvivor.com is the associated website that's right now, it's still going to Feel Good Fair Trade, but it's about to go to its own designated website. I see it's almost done. I'll show you. Where is it at? Do I have it up? Come on, where you at? No, I had it up somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, here's my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com. Each one of these is a collection, right? Let's say you wanted to do Tonga textiles. You're going to go here. You're going to learn about every artist on every page. And then you're going to see the most beautiful, oh my God, And there are videos in the library. I can shoot you if you're interested in how they're made. In fact, I'm going to load one of those up. Right now I've got Small Art. But anyway, tons of stuff. Jewelry, pottery, recycled steel drums from Haiti, and Incantata pottery that they use on The Young and the Restless soap opera. My Incantata pottery, which is hand thrown, and then they add texture with clay, and then they hand paint it. It is the most beautiful, beautiful stuff. Check out our Incantata. There's only a few pieces here and there. You're not going to see a huge collection. It's going to be like there's 3 to 5 pieces right now, and then it'll change, So snap them up when you see them. But they use them in Sharon's coffee shop above the thing in The Young and the Restless. So part of the reason I'm talking more about this instead of jumping right into Ask for What You Want, which is what we're working on all week, is because I was told I'm supposed to like not get into the meat of anything for like 10 minutes. And I'm not savvy about this stuff. I'm just a CSA survivor who has learned how to have a decent life. And the reason I do this, besides hoping that you'll get something that changes your life out of it, is because I want to raise money for the artisans that I buy for, and I want to raise money for my Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund that I just founded recently. And so live gifts appreciated. I need money to buy, first off, the nonprofit status for the 501(c)(3), and I then have 2 fundraisers. There's GoFundMe, there's the Facebook ones, and that's all rolling onto the website sweetsurvivor.com, which is, I would hope to have it out today when I re-released the store, but it's going to take me another week, it looks like. I've had a lot of doctor's appointments. Look, I broke my foot, slipped down my stairs, old grandma stairs, broke my foot, so I'm in the boot now, because 5 weeks in, it was more broke than the first x-ray. It was worse. Yeah, so they put me in the boot. And then I also have done something to the ligament in my knee. This happened February 13th. And I'm finally getting the MRI tomorrow. Or at least the order. I'm finally seeing the doctor. They're that backed up that with a potential torn ligament, it took me that long. I'll just block them, but Jesus. Call me 5 times a day for the last week, and then they won't speak. But they don't hang up either. All right, so here's what we're doing. We're going to recap. That's enough banter. We're going to recap SPADES. These are 6 things, as I started to say at the top of this, these are 6 things that I do every day. That's why I just want you to learn the 6 things. It's not a progression. It's not whatever. All 6 things. I put them in a logical order based on the way that I wrote the book. I keep kicking this with my big-ass boot. I'm sorry. Try to keep my boot to myself. But if okay, something has to change here. All right. Anyway, can you see Vinny? Hey, say hi, Vinny. I like to put Vinny right inside the front door, like sitting, so if someone opens the door, he's just like, because a lot of people get really freaked out by that kind of thing. But he's really super sweet. Super sweet. Yes, Vinny. All right, here. There. That's my CBT corner. That's where I keep my sketchbooks and pastels. And I actively force myself to relive my trauma, because that gets it into out. This is what we talked about all week last week, separating the past from the present. I just want to recap. Trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy is the act of writing or drawing or painting or doing something physical and symbolic that then takes this jumbled traumatic CPTSD thing that keeps reoccurring in the form of CPTSD, this traumatic event that you experienced at a young age. And instead of swallowing it and trying not to think about it, which is what we do, and we spend a lifetime doing, and everyone tells you not to talk about it, and your own family will not want to hear about it, and I talked a lot about that yesterday, about my niece didn't want to hear about it. I finally told her what her father had done to me and worried, just saying, I feel that you should know because of your own daughter. And she's like, he's been nothing but wonderful. And I want to hear about it. And I'm like, wow, because she's an educated and kind person. And, she was like, thank you for reaching out, but that's the end of this. And I'm like, well, actually, it's not. It's actually not. But I can't sue until there's the statute of limitations lifts. And as part of separating the past from the present, also part of the recap from last week, I want to emphasize that so many people I talk to are stuck on, I can't forgive. I can't stop hating. I can't forgive. And it's like, okay, and what? What's wrong with that? As long as you direct your not forgiving into not going to prison, you don't want to not forgive in a vengeance way that hurts yourself. So balance your whatever. I don't forgive my perpetrator. I do factor in some environmental things, like we sexualize our children and we teach men to look at children as sexual beings. We put sexy versions, like cute, sexy clothes. We think it's cute when they're little. If it comes in a small enough size to fit a preschooler, now it's cute. Instead of sexy, we say. But no, if you dress your daughter like a mini person who turns somebody on purpose, then she's going to turn somebody on. And those people, those men, and I'm not giving my assaulter a pass, but I'm saying he, like so many people in our society, are just so used to seeing little girls sexualized that it's probably hard for them not to think of them that way. So if that stops you from killing someone, put that in your knowledge arsenal, that every perpetrator is a victim in one way or another. Then there's just really vile, horrible people and whatever. But still, despite that, I still feel that there's an element of really, you should know better. This went on for years. You should at some point have been the adult enough to be like, I'm not going to ask a young adolescent girl, preteen and teen to do things, But I'm not going to give her alcohol. And yeah, okay, so I'm getting mad again. That's my point. I'm not going to forgive. You don't have to forgive. So that's not a thing. Just don't worry about it. Just don't get eaten up with hate. What you do, and why I'm on here, is I'm educating and I'm advocating. And as I said, I don't know, yesterday or the day before, so I don't do Saturday, Sunday, but Friday or Thursday, this is my gun, right? My mouth is my gun. Your mouth, your voice, your vote. I keep kicking this thing with my big broken boot. Ah. Okay. Anyway, so use this gun. Use this gun and change things for the better. Change things for the better. And don't take shit. And this is what we're coming to this week. You got to ask for what you want. Life is not going to just create bliss for you. Life is going to unfold if you don't take any action. If you just kind of accept what comes along, that's the best thing available without actually creating something. I'm all about creating. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a writer. I can't imagine a world where I'm not creating. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a flute player. Creating. So if you're not creating in your own life, creating the education you want, creating the experiences you want, creating the body you want, working within the best of your abilities to actually evolve, right? If you're not that person, then you don't belong here with me, because you're not going to get anything out of what I have to say. The type of person that's always mad, always angry, tells me every intimate detail of the terrible things that happen to them over and over, and then circles back to I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, and circles back to I'm so depressed, I'm so depressed. This person needs a therapist, a trained counselor, licensed doctor. And no, I don't mean certified. I'm not a certified Facebook coach myself. And everyone, you know how easy it is to get a certification? It's a check and a few online things. A coach is somebody you relate to. I coach people that have a similar experience, and I wish well and pass on people that won't move past that, never getting over it. It's going to rule my life person. So a lot of people are right about here in the middle. You might be here. I think you're probably on the creation end with me, or you wouldn't still be here. Here you are, floating along. You know, I met someone who's really reasonably nice. I'm not terribly happy. Maybe I have sex and I don't get upset or have CPTSD experiences anymore. Or maybe you do, but you know, you've learned to hide it or write it out or whatever, you know. You love your husband, but you don't have orgasms. I mean, there are things you can do without leaving the relationship that can fix things, but not unless you ask for what you want. So if you can get settled into a comfortable life, but that isn't exciting and isn't creating anything, and then that comfort goes away and people get bored and lonely and upset and angry, and then trauma compounds. So when you're unhappy about one thing, you start remembering everything you've ever been unhappy about. And if you're a CSA survivor, you've got lots of bad stuff to remember. And this is why trauma, I talked about this last week too, how trauma compounds. And actually in the week before that, when we were talking about shame, because the S in SPADES, the 6 things I want you to learn. The first is the shame, S. The shame is not yours. And we spent days talking about how to identify that. And we'll keep circling. When we get to the end, we'll go back to the beginning. So, but then last week we talked about separating the past from the present, talked a lot about dissociation. I talked about my 2 alters and how my alters saved me, and that it's not even considered a disorder, but rather a excellent coping skill and is generally linked to better outcomes. And how I made up this thing myself that my therapist and some college professors, and I guess the people that are publishing my book, think is a pretty good idea, which is stop telling people, you know, we talk about dissociation, but we never move on with it. We just explain it. We talk about what it is. We talk about how some people go all the way to split personalities that take over, and some people are like me, where I just had 2 people that I kind of disappeared into, but then I still know it's there, but I set them aside. I had the ability to compartmentalize my mind into little girl and rage. And little girl would take my violation and abuse, and rage would talk her into rejoining the world and tell her she could kill him someday and be angry. And those 2 people I kept out of my daily mind. When I thought about them, I shoved them down. I tried not to think about it. And so I walked around for decades like a coil pushed to the ground, ready to spring. And that's how a lot of the people I talk to feel. But not when we're done. When I'm done with them, we're drinking tequila, dancing on the bar. Okay? That's all figurative. I've never actually drank tequila or danced on a bar with any of the people I coach. But it has been a pandemic. I'm not ruling it out. So asking for what you want. Let's talk. We're going to do this every day, so we're going to break it down so that by the end of it, you won't have to memorize anything, because by the end of it, it'll just be ingrained in you, because every day I'm going to talk about part of it, and then every day we'll recap and add, and we'll add in, and we'll add in. So asking for what you want, like every step in my program, it starts with realizing the shame is not yours, so that you can stop trying to just be what somebody else wants. I don't know about you, but it seems pretty prevalent, and I know it's been a problem for me my whole life since childhood, since this part of childhood, since being assaulted. I hate the word abuse, because being raped is not abuse, it's assault. It's an abusive assault, but it's assault, and I don't like to lessen things. So please, anywhere you would say abuse, please substitute the word assault from now on. I even changed the title of my book from Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Abuse, to My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault, because that's what it is. And that's when the CPTSD would rear its ugly head, what it was. And the craziest part was I didn't have the CPTSD when I wasn't dealing with my problems at first. That was like an interim thing. What I had was such a strong degree of dissociation that I did unhealthy things for myself, that I didn't mentally consider my own pleasure. That the idea of choosing to give my body to somebody in a special way, it was too late for that, so it didn't even occur to me. Going numb and being taken advantage of was, it may look slutty on the outside, but it was really just going numb and being taken advantage of, but the person doing it may not understand that because you're not telling. And that's where I went wrong. And one of the things that I want to bring up right away, if you have a partner or you want to have a partner, and this is gender-free experience, whoever you are, however you identify, and whatever and whoever and however your partner is, all applies. Okay? Partners they need to know that this happened to you. I married and divorced 3 times without telling any of them the extent of this violation that I was deeply affected by. But that's because I didn't realize how deeply affected by it I was. I was who I was. And so I thought I was being a normal me. And part of being a normal me was bypassing the whole idea of understanding my sexuality and making choices. And it does change things. So feeling shameful and guilty about myself led me to try to be perfect, and trying to be perfect led me to attracting narcissists. Yeah, it's a buzzword right now, but it's still the right word. It's true. Narcissists love insecure people who are trying to be perfect, because narcissists, they want to feel super important. So basically you're both grasping for the brightest star without ever looking, you're both shining so brightly that you don't mesh. It's like force fields that keep you emotionally apart. And if you're not willing to share, and now I want to qualify this in just a second. If you're not willing to share on a basic level that this is something in part of your past. It's not who you are. You are not your body, and nothing that ever happened to your body, no part of your body that is missing or that doesn't work matters at all as to who you are. You are your soul. Your body can't be hurt, can't be ruined. And I felt ruined for so long that it's really important that I say that. Your body can't be ruined. You are not your body. Your body contains you. So, with that in mind, I've learned self-respect. And it took a hell of a long time for me to even know I needed to. And I hope you can bypass that a little bit. I do. So, I'm going to take a drink. Oh, question. I made these for my business, my children actually, for my teenage children and my business associates. It says, fuck what people think. It's probably backwards to you. It was my old store logo. I had a store at the local mall here that I closed before the pandemic. And I've been online for 5 years now, feelgoodfairtrade.com. Anyway, some of them had a nice saying on the other side. How are we to treat all others? And then it said there are no others. And then some of them say, fuck what people think, which I really like. And I'm making some with the sweet logo on it, if anybody's interested. So I need a show of hands who's interested in this, because I'm working on a new merchandising thing with sweetsurvivor.com, which right now is going to take you to feelgoodfairtrade.com. But that's a good place to be. And pretty soon it's going to take you to sweetsurvivor.com, which is also lindagifford.com, which is about to be lindakgifford.com. Lots of changes this week. Lots of changes this week. We're going to raise money for the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. And in the meantime, let's heal ourselves, okay? So, I keep kicking this. I'm going to move it back because I'm like twisting too far to get over in front of it here. Because of me broken foot, it's hard for me to set up in my downstairs. I have like a studio area between my merchandising center and my living room. And I like my bedroom window. Want to see what I'm seeing? There's my window. There's my neighborhood. Hello, neighborhood. There's my TV. There's my fair trade jewelry. Everything there's purchasable at the store. I'm getting ready to move, so I packed up everything that's not from my store so that I could... Oh, I should be wearing that. I should be wearing that. I don't know. I end up wearing too many, but the blue will look nice. This is from Artisana. It's at my store sometimes. There are not this. There's always some Artisana pieces. And again, my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, has got a couple thousand products, but there's just a few from each person because it's really a person. It's really a person or a family or a small group that's making our products, and we pay them. And then we keep it in America. We pre-buy it, right? We're not drop shipping from China or from overseas. We are storing it here and shipping it to you fast. So 3 to 5 days. It's not Amazon, but it's pretty close. And is that not cool? I should polish it. It'll shine up nicely. But they do lovely inlay work and earrings and necklaces and things. And they also do flowers set in resin, which is pretty cool stuff. Artisana. Anyway, so we were talking about asking for what you want. And I'm saying how it's so important to get over... to just get over caring what other people think about you, right? Fuck what people think. Buy your mug. Tell me if you want one, and I will take a show of hands. I will actually take you out of the viewers list or the followers or the whatever. And if you say you want one in the comments, that's what I'm trying to say. I'll take them out of the comments, and I will message you when I've got them ready, okay? Which should not take too long, just a few days. But you've got to give up caring about other people's opinions of you. That doesn't mean be an asshole. I'm not saying go rogue and go bad. I'm saying you are a good person. You are a decent person. You are a normal CSA survivor. What was done to you, not something you did. You didn't do nothing. It was done to you. You don't have to forgive them, and you don't have to forgive yourself. Everyone's like, well, the only person you have to forgive is yourself. And they think that's good advice. And it's like, what? I don't have to forgive myself. What did I do? Leave me out of this. Leave me out of this guilt trip, okay? And I should, there's a sign. I'll put it in the comments. It says, I will never understand why it is more, embarrassing to be raped than to be a rapist. So, I thought I was ruined if anybody knew what happened to me. I thought my husbands wouldn't want me if they knew what had happened to me. The thought of pleasing myself didn't even occur to me. That I was groomed. I wasn't just a rape survivor. I was groomed. So being sexually submissive was my bag, I tried to do it all right. I tried to do it really well, and I think I was pretty convincing. But that's pretty sad. Really. But the good news is I'm over it. I actually learned enough to open my body, my mind, my body, my emotions to another human being almost 2 years ago now, and I'm about to move in with them. And I'm telling you, it wasn't just luck. It was that, what's the old adage, luck meets preparation. And Success is luck meeting preparation. And I didn't even have a goal of being in a relationship. In fact, I pretty much had a pretty damn set goal of not being in a relationship. I had ended my last relationship after I beat the hell out of him in a blackout I still don't remember, except for one moment. And I wasn't drunk. I was triggered into a full-blown CPTSD blowout by the news that a bus driver, 26-year-old white bus driver, rapes 14-year-old black girl and gets like no jail time, just probation, because it was only one victim and she did drink alcohol. She went with him to his house when he invited her and drank alcohol. Right? So he gets no jail time. And then another one with remember the girl whose parents were murdered and, you know, duct taped and killed, and the guy took her and kept her in a cage, you know, like, and she finally escaped and all, and almost nothing happened to him either, you know, nothing appreciable. And, you know, if you know me, I'll listen to the last one. I am all for the death sentence for rapists, because you cannot give back my opportunity to give, and I don't even like the word give, to share my body with another human being. That should have been something that was a huge awakening in me, and it wasn't. I bypassed all that, and you might have too if you're a CSA survivor and don't even realize that there's this whole other level. There's this whole other level of intimacy going on with some people. And I didn't believe that was real until I experienced it. And I know that I didn't experience it until two things came together. And that was a partner I was honest with, who also has the intellectual capacity and emotional capacity to understand and not let it affect how he felt about me. Because there are people that are like, you know, families. They hide that someone's raped or that someone's, you know, got a rapist in the family or whatever, because they're humiliated instead of mortified. Or they're mortified and humiliated, but shh. And it's like, we're going to get into the E in 2 weeks. That's educate and advocate. Right now, we're on the A of spades, ask for what you want. So let's recap. S, the shame is not yours. You want to talk more about that, get a hold of me and we'll talk, okay? And the P is separating the past from the present. All week last week, I put these on YouTube, same name. Go to YouTube. There's a link on here if you want to see the whole, you know, 55, 56 minutes of what I have to share that I think might help. And then this week, ask for what you want. Don't just take what's given. The D is going to be, next week is going to be, don't wait to feel okay to be okay. So that's all about getting your life on track. You don't have to be forgiving. You don't have to totally be over everything. You don't have to never have another CPTSD event. You don't have to, you know, pronounce yourself over it. You can get on with it and have a great life. You don't have to wait to feel okay to be okay. The act of being okay manifests feeling okay, right? And then the E is educate and advocate, because that is how I keep it outside of myself. That is how I keep this trauma that's inside of me, outside of me. I try to change things for other people. It's also how I keep myself from doing a criminal act that could put me in prison, because that would not be a good thing either. So, in all honesty, surviving is a process, and it's something you're going to do. And I'm not here to tell you that you're going to never have another event, but I'm going to tell you that you'll have far fewer if you are suffering from CPTSD. That's actually, believe this, it's actually a good sign that you're on the path to getting to a place where you don't anymore. And here's why. It seems kind of oxymoronic, but it's not at all. When things are at their most tumultuous, change is happening. When you are remembering things to the point that you can, instead of dissociating, that you can have CPTSD events happen, tell yourself, okay, this is hard, but this is great, because now I can see what, I can look at what happened, and now I'm going to make a memory. Now you get that trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. We talked about at length last week. Now you take your notebook, here's mine, and I didn't know what I was going to draw, and I told my therapist I have no idea. She's like, just start drawing why you feel like a piece of shit in the world, because those were my last words. And she's like, why do you feel like a piece of shit? I want you to draw it. And so I drew the picture because I liked him. He was happy. He's working on a car. He's nice. I wrote what I felt. Here I am drinking grape juice and gin because I'm guilty. Look, I'm a little child and I'm drinking grape juice and gin. And they're all smiling. And then I drew myself, I realized, with a woman face on there, you know. And so this is and then I drew what he did to me. And it gets graphic and gross, you know. It gets him in my pants and him forcing me on to him, and it's gross and it hurts, and trigger warning, it's harsh, and it put it in my memory finally. I let that stuff just swirl around in my head for years until I went into therapy the first time 20 years ago, and it just swirled, you know, and it was hard because I never made a memory that I could deal with it. So when it would happen, I just have to write it out or freak out or get drunk or run away or dissociate and wake up somewhere like a field or a closet or something, you know. And when I finally said, okay, I'm going to look at it, that my therapist, it was marriage counseling turned into sexual assault counseling, childhood sexual assault counseling. And when I had to look at it and tell the experience, I regressed into a place that I don't even remember except for coming out of it. I was in the corner of the office like this, and I stunk like a stink bug. The stench was horrible. She told me that she had to like totally Febreze the office afterwards. It was horrible. My clothes were stunk. Even just being in my car, I had to go back and Febreze my car because the stench that was let out during this session, where I don't remember what I said, except I remember meeting little girl in that session. And it was a very powerful thing to happen. And in doing so, I wasn't the shameful little girl anymore. I saw her as somebody I needed to take care of. So that's when they say nurture your inner child. You know, that's not just hyperbole. You do have an inner child, and you do need to nurture your inner child. And the inner child, if you will, at least for my purposes, for your purposes, from my purposes, consider your inner child to be that part of you that is just experiencing things without judgment or fear or hate or pain or trauma. Just that place of what Abraham Hicks would call your vortex. I recommend Abraham Hicks to anybody who's got a spiritual bent and would like to just kind of center. It's a good centering experience that I very much enjoy. And so, Abraham Hicks. I get myself all worked up, you know, but that's okay. When change, I've got change happening right now, and I am very super happy, but I'm like full of tension and butterflies, and I'm not working my other day job. I've got my online business, but it took a hit during the pandemic big time, and then unemployment stopped paying me, and now they owe me, but they haven't paid me yet, and then I broke my foot, so I'm like, okay, don't be afraid to give me live gifts, not to be a jerk, but I'm keeping afloat here, and I really, really want to be funding the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. So that's what I need you for. And I'm moving to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. Yeah, I'm going to Kansas City. And I'm going to have change, and it's scary, but you know what? I'm manifesting the future. I'm not going to be scared. There's a little fear there, but this is the creating I'm talking about. You've got to create what you want. I've been sick all last week, pardon me. I made it this far without my nose wiped, but I made it, what was I saying? Lost track of what I was saying because I started to blow my nose, and I realized you're on camera. You're just like blowing your nose on. Oh well. Fuck what people think, right? Who wants a mug? Who wants a mug? Put it in the comments if you want a mug, okay? And I will, to purchase a mug. Let me rephrase that. To purchase a mug for the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. It's going to have I've got 3 different sweet logos so far. And I can't pin them down, so I think I'm going to make all 3 logos. I was told the first one looked like a kid's book because it's like Sweet Survivor and it's got stars that drip off of it. And then I was told the second one looks like the Coast Guard or something because it's got a life preserver in waves. Sweet Survivor, right? Get it? And then the third one I was told they really like, and that's the one I just drew. I just free drew it myself, the pinky purple one. With the 2, I tried to make them not, gender-free faces. Any gender-neutral faces. A adult and child. So anyway, all 3 of those are going to be on mugs, and they're going to be available at feelgoodfairtrade.com and sweetsurvivor.com too, I think. I'm working on the store part. I thought it'd be easy. I thought I've already got a 5-year-old Shopify store, right? And it runs without a hitch, and now all of a sudden I'm like, I thought this would be easier, but I'm kind of stuck between 2 different shopping platforms and deciding which one to. You don't need to know all that, do you? Okay. Tip: buy good coffee in bags and make it in your own coffee pot, and then pour it into bottles. Then you only have to buy 1 4-pack of Starbucks or whatever brand, or you can get singles, and you can refill them. I make coffee and drink it all day long, and I always fill up these bottles so that it doesn't get old and nasty, and I don't like coffee that's even half an hour old. It's burnt by then. It's dehydrated enough that it's just wrong. It's wrong. I'm telling you, it's wrong. So, ask for what you want. Let's see, what else? We're going to talk about asking for what you want all week. So I really just wanted to kind of introduce the topic today. Talk about how it tied together with the other letters in spades. Every day, the shame is not mine. If I start to feel ashamed, I tell myself, this shame is not mine. I am the rape, not the rapist. The shame is not mine. I'm good now. And if you have a problem, still, if you need a way to envision this, and this can hurt, trigger warning too. And I just told him I'm supposed to say that. I never used to say trigger warning, but I guess I want to not hurt anybody. I want to be helpful and do good in the world, not evil. So think about a child that you care about, and think about what happened to you happening to them. There you go. That should be about all I have to say. Are they guilty? Could they have possibly been guilty? No, neither are you. The shame is not yours. Okay, there you go. That was like the easiest wrap up. We spent a whole week on it, but you know what? Boom, there you go. P, separate the past from the present. That's all about dealing with those CPTSD events. And we talk the most about that, and it will always come in with every other letter too, because having a CPTSD event is like the past just putting itself right in front of you, not in front of you, it's there. It's like, pretend that you are in a video right now. You are in a video, okay? Now, take a memory of yourself somewhere else and put that right here too. That's what having CPTSD event is like. It's like suddenly being in two worlds, and then you can make the shift into the other world and you really feel like you're there. So the thing you have to do, the thing I do and that I've learned to do, is recognize I'm about to make that shift and stop it. Stop it before I do it. So I'm still starting, I have the memory trigger, but because I'm doing and have done, I did 8 days in a row and then a break, and then 8 days in a row and then a break, CBT for 3 weeks. That's a weird schedule, I know, but I did a very intensive focused thing, and it changed. The thing about trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy is it takes this jumbled stuff that rears its ugly head as a confusing mess of seems real, right? And it organizes it into a thought process that is now chronological, that's real. You can give it some historical value. You can look at it anthropologically. You can say I'm a survivor and I fit in a group of people. You put it into a memory now, right? So this time when that CPTSD event washes over you, okay, and I'm going to be real straight up with you. This happened to me during an oral sex thing not very long ago. I had a memory flash to being suffocating and choked, right? And then instead of having to like just endure or, shovel it down and swallow it or whatever, I let it wash because I've learned to do this. I recognized what it was and I said to myself, I'm right where I want to be, doing exactly what I want to do. This feels amazing. We're both super happy. And then I was over it. In the past, I would have tried to shove it down and tried to not think about it to the point that I would have been thinking about it. And then it would have spoiled my enjoyment and my pleasure, which would have spoiled my partner's enjoyment and pleasure. And the sucky thing about it is, because I never told anybody what happened to me, nobody would ever know why. Now we're just fucked up. Our relationship's screwed up. We don't have a good sex life. And it's all avoidable. And if it's not avoidable, when you approach that level of honesty with somebody, then you need to get out and have a better sex life with somebody else. Honestly, you do. Again, ask for what you want and work with your partner. And along those lines, I want to always be sure to emphasize this. Don't make your partner your therapist. Your partner is not your coach, and your partner is not your therapist. And if you turn your partner into your coach or your therapist, it's going to harm your relationship. You want to be in a place where you can be emotional and intimate and fun and sexual with this person for your own enjoyment. They don't need the play-by-play of everything that happened to you, but they do need to know that you have been violated in this manner, that you have had issues with it, and that you are dealing with them. And then I suggest making what we have is, and it was a joke when we first talked about it, because I hadn't had any events with him. I feel so comfortable and connected now for the first time in my life with somebody that I wasn't having events. But so it was kind of like funny at the time. But then there was one brief moment, and having a word, what's the word I'm looking for? A keyword that you say. And then having a response plan. No one freaks out. Just give me a moment. It's just a give me a moment word. And in that moment, because you're working on the SPADES program, you sort your thoughts out and you remember where you are, and you remember that you're doing what you want to be doing with who you want to be doing it with and how good it feels. And suddenly that just goes away and you're back where you were and everything's fine. And that is a reality and a possibility. And I find more often than not that the CSA survivors across the board that I work with, and that's why I'm being so candid now, because I didn't used to get that candid, but I didn't have the experience myself. It's like the more I learn, the more I feel like I have to share it with you so you can fast track it and learn it faster. what was I trying to say? Having my partner know is one thing. Having them have to listen to me talk about everything that happened to me is going to put stuff in their mind that they don't need to be living with fear, and they'll start treating you with kid gloves, don't want to trigger you, whatever. Keep your relationship with your partner in the present. Keep them about your present grown-ass woman experiences, not your healing inner little child experiences. Let them know you're working on it. Okay? That being said, within that framework, with a person that you really want to be doing it with, you need to be asking for what you want. And this also goes for every other part of life, you know. This goes for at work. This goes for not being afraid to ask for a raise, or to change your career, or to leave your partner. You know, if you can't fix them, sometimes you just gotta cut your losses. And that's not a horrible thing either, is it now? My lips are chapped. So I have like 8 shades of pink. Nothing but pink works. This one, see, it's the color of my lips. Practically. That's why I like it. Pink Wink by Maybelline. Yeah. I'm not important enough to have endorsements, but I'm practicing for maybe someone, Maybelline. All right. Seriously, though, I'm going to get going, and we're going to talk tomorrow about nitty-gritty relationship stuff. Now that we've introduced the asking for what you want concept, there's some more intimacy things, and there's some more letting go things. There's a whole lot more to talk about in learning to ask for what you want, and why you should, and how it's going to change your life. So let's do more of that tomorrow. And right now, everybody go to, right after you leave, a live gift. I'm going to be shameless. No, really though, follow and like, and yes, please do support the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund with live gifts, or on Facebook or GoFundMe. And there'll be a subscription up again soon. I've been saying that for weeks, but I've been working my way through different options, and I want to release it on the new Sweet Survivor site. So patience. But soon you'll be able to support Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and SWEET stands for Survivors Will End Earth's Trafficking. The Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, you'll be able to support it at sweetsurvivor.com. But for now, go to feelgoodfairtrade.com or sweetsurvivor.com and buy stuff from my women artisans, please, so that they can get food and water and vaccinations and support their families and put their daughters in school. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow. I try to commit to 3 o'clock, but, you know, then there's life. So I'm getting better. I'm getting closer, though. See you tomorrow. Bye. There it is.